Hi everyone, welcome here from Annika Digital. We're here to talk about understanding your competition from a paid search and social perspective. And Holly's here. If Holly just wants to quickly introduce herself.
Hi, morning everybody. So I'm Holly. Traditionally I head up the paid team, and I work across search, work across social, delivering client work, and also managing the team as well.
Yeah, and I'm Katie. I'm head of marketing at Annika, and then I lead on the D2N2 boot camps as well. So just a bit of housekeeping. We're going to do a poll in a minute. There'll be handouts available. You can catch up on demand as well. Let's just start the poll now. See what it's just good for us to kind of understand you as an audience. I know there's more and more people coming on board, but from your perspective, have you done any competitor analysis? So yes, we have used free tools. Yes, additional paid tools. No, I'm not using either. No, but this is something we are keen to do. So it's just kind of getting an idea of you as an audience, really. Okay, bit of a split, really. So it's dipping. So about 22% are using the free tools, 20% paid tools. Most people are saying they're just keen to do this, but not doing anything at the moment. And actually that's going up to 46% now. And then 8% are saying, we're not doing either. So you're definitely in the right place. For everyone who can stick around, obviously we'll have the offers at the end as normal. And just really looking forward to this one. So I'll catch up with you later. Anne and I are lurking in the background. Put anything in chat as normal, and I'll share the handouts as well. Morning to you all. Okay, I'm going to switch off now. All the best, Holes.
Thank you very much, Katie. So morning everybody. So my webinar today is going to be all about kind of understanding your competition, and it's mainly focusing across paid search and social. So looking at your paid marketing channels and how you can understand, what are your competitors doing, who's in the market with you, and also take learnings from that of what can you apply from this and what can you learn from this to transfer over to your own marketing activities. So a couple of quick introductions. As I say, I'm Holly. I head up the paid team at Annika, and I'm one of the senior paid strategists at Annika as well. I've been with Annika about, just over 7 years, getting on for 7.5 years now. So long time. Started my background in paid search, so all the Google ads, Bing ads, that side of things, but have transitioned over to also incorporate all the other paid channels as well. So looking at paid social and kind of the podcasts and affiliate elements of things as well. In terms of Annika, we've been around since 2007, so 15 years this year. So we celebrated our 15th anniversary back in February. It goes up and down, but we've got 27 crew members on board at the moment, and we're a multi-award-winning agency, and we're very, very focused around kind of data, and that's all kind of ties in with kind of the talk today about competitor activity. This year we are on a mission. As I say, we celebrated our 15th anniversary or birthday this year. We specialise from B2B for construction to trade with e-commerce. So we've got experience across kind of the board, and our services range from SEO to social media to paid search, and everything in between as well. On today's agenda, so going to be looking at why competitor analysis is important, particularly in the current state, particularly for kind of e-commerce clients. We're seeing a big shift in what's happening in the market at the moment. We are going to be looking at what competitor analysis isn't. So just making sure that, you're doing your competitor analysis, but, making sure you know what you should and shouldn't be doing with that information. Understanding where your competitor's presence is. Competition specifically in Google ads, Facebook ads, and LinkedIn ads. And then also just looking at how to make sense of your analysis as well. And a couple of tools in there that paid and free that can help you along the way. So why analyse your competitor activity? So first and foremost, it helps you to monitor impacts on your own performance. So you need to understand what's going on in the external market, and one of those factors is what are your competitors doing? Your competitor introducing a specific offer, changing their positioning, changing how aggressively they are bidding or how much budget they're putting into their activity, can have a knock-on impact on your own performance. So if you're not monitoring what your competitors are doing, all you're seeing is fluctuations up and down in your own performance, and you, without knowing your competitors, you can't understand why and what's the impact of that. So it's great for monitoring impacts on your own performance. It also helps you to understand what your competitors' benefits and messaging and what their positioning is. And that can help you not only adjust your own messaging to kind of address pain points in customers, for customers, it can also help you to understand, okay, how can you differentiate from your competition, and how can you make your offering stand out and your offering sound that little bit more enticing to customers. It can help you to discover openings in the market and also discover new keyword and channel opportunities. So what you can understand is, okay, which locations are my competitors appearing in and advertising in? Which channels are they using? Are there channels that I'm not currently using that I could be using? And are there keywords that I'm currently missing out on that are relevant for my business? And that also helps you tie into where you're understanding where you're losing market share as well. So some of the tools have features, so like Google Ads, you can see your impression share and your click share. So you can understand how much of the market you're kind of capturing. And that can help you to understand if you need to be a little bit more aggressive with your budgets and a little bit more aggressive with your bidding as well. And generally, overall, it's going to help you to make your campaigns more effective. Because if you understand what your competitors are doing, you can understand how you need to pivot and how you need to differentiate yourself to get the customer through the door. And it's even more important now more than ever. Post-pandemic, there's been a big significant drop in e-commerce traffic. E-commerce saw all-time highs during lockdown, and particularly during 2020 and into 2021. But since last March, we've started to see a 50% drop in traffic for e-commerce. Customers are more panicked, they're more cash-strapped, the cost of living is rising. So it's more important than ever that you are looking at ways that you can get the kind of reducing amount of traffic to your website from your competitors. So understanding your competitor activity is going to help you to capture that traffic. There's more since kind of lockdown saw a lot of kind of businesses pop up online. It became, you know, as people was kind of seeing redundancies, online businesses started to kind of pop up and people started to kind of sell. So it's increased the number of competitors in the market as well. It's also, that means increase the cost of getting traffic. So the more competitors in the market, the higher you'll see your cost per clicks. So understanding how you can make that cost most effective and how you can use that traffic to kind of turn that into conversions to get the most out of your budget is going to be crucial to kind of 2022 and improving and growing on your marketing performance and your business performance as well. And we're also seeing a continued trend, not just for e-commerce, but kind of overall, that generally organic channels, so whether it's in kind of your social channels, so across kind of Facebook, Instagram, all of your kind of social feeds, organic activity is becoming harder and harder to reach users with, particularly as brands, if users aren't engaging, and typically organic posts have much lower engagement rates than paid activity. So it's important that you know where you need to kind of give a bit of a push on your ad solutions to drive your revenue. But what competitor analysis is not, it's not a view to adopt the same strategy as your competitor. So what you don't want to do is go away, review all your competitor activity and think, okay, I'm just going to take that and I'm just going to basically replicate what they've done, because it's not confirmation what a competitor is doing is right, or that it's even working for them. Some competitors will use channels, particularly if they're kind of big established brands. They'll use channels as loss leaders. But you might not be in the same position as them that you can afford to do that. So it's important to understand what they're doing, but it's also important not to just kind of take what they're doing and replicate it. You need to make your strategy work for your brand and your business. But what you can do is you can take learnings, and it can help you, as I say, to differentiate your brand and your business, to get the customer through the door. And it can help you to identify new channels and new markets that you can enter. So the steps to understanding your competitors. So just going to go through a few steps. These are by no means kind of the be all, the ends all. Competitor analysis is, it's huge in scope, and there's so many kind of different elements to it. But these are kind of the steps that we would recommend. So what you need to be doing is asking yourself, these questions to help you kind of understand, okay, what do I need to answer, and what am I going to do with that data and analysis that I get? So first and foremost, you need to understand who your competitors are. Then it's important to understand what their organic presence is. So by understanding what their organic presence is, you can understand, okay, where am I missing out there, and where do I need to put a bit of ad spend or push ad spend behind to help give me my ads, my presence a little bit of a boost. Understanding what paid channels they're using, understanding understanding how each competitor is positioning themselves, and how are they differentiating themselves, what are their USPs, what benefits are they pushing, what offers are they pushing. It's also good to know what their frequency of ad rotation and testing is. So it's not available, and you're not going to see this for all platforms, but for some of them you are able to get this data. And then also finally, what learnings can you take from that? So when it comes to understanding who your competitors are, first and foremost, you want to define who are your direct competitors and who are your indirect competitors. So the thing to keep in mind when it comes to ad space, your indirect competitors can also share and take up the same ad space as yourself. So whether that is complementary products, whether that is another business service going after the same target audience as you, there is going to be quite a bit of overlap in terms of who is appearing in the same ad space and who is bidding and going into the same ad auctions and trying to rank for that same audience or that same keyword. So when it comes to paid search and social, it could be, things like a comparison site and an insurance site. Well, a comparison site compares insurance, but they don't actually sell it, but they're going to be bidding for the same keywords and the same audience as an insurance site would. So you've got your kind of direct and your indirect competitors there. And it can also be things like B2B and B2C. So we see quite frequently there'll be kind of e-commerce clients that predominantly or only sell B2B. So they're in the trade market. But actually, when it comes to the keywords that you would bid on, there is very, very little differentiation between what you would bid and what a B2C business would bid. So something like fence panels, if you're selling only to trade, what those trade customers are selling versus bidding on versus what a consumer audience would be bidding on is very, very similar, and it's going to be very hard to differentiate. So even though they're not your direct competitor, they're still going to be in the same market and the same auction as yourself. So you can use a simple table, something like this, just to map out and plot out what each of your competitors do. And you can break them down even further. So you can break them down into emerging competitors and legacy competitors. So the emerging ones are people who are kind of new or entering the market, or even potentially given a little bit of extra push over kind of the last 12 months. And then your legacy competitors are, of course, the ones that have been around. They're kind of established. They're there. They're kind of month on month. They're just there each and every month, and they're kind of in the same market share as yourself. The second part is looking at the organic presence. So the organic presence is all about understanding, how your competitors are performing organically, and also where are you missing out. So this can help you really to shape your paid media strategy, because if you know that it is too competitive in the organic space, or it's going to take a lot of time investment to get you from a position 10 to a position 2, then actually you might start to think, okay, if I put a little bit of money behind that, if I put some ad spend behind that, actually I can start to take a little bit of that market share back, because from an ads perspective, all you need to do is bid. If you've got kind of good content, if you've got good ads, if your product is relevant for that search, then you can kind of start to claw back some of that market share that you're losing from an organic presence. It can also show you kind of where you're losing visibility, and also where you're overlapping, and from the flip side of that, where you're winning organically as well. So if you're appearing in kind of ad rank in position number 1, maybe you don't need to put so much ad spend behind that. Maybe you can focus your ad spend in other areas, particularly if you've got limited budget. It can help you to kind of identify where your gaps are. There are specific tools that you can use. So we use tools such as SEO Monitor and Sem Rush, and you can also use Google Search Console to kind of track your own performance as well. The benefit of the paid tools, so SEO Monitor and Sem Rush, they allow you to track your competitor activity alongside your own. But overall, the aim here is to identify kind of where your gaps are, where are you not strong organically, and then you can start to plug those gaps for, you're not going to plug every gap, but you might be able to plug some gaps where your the keyword, for example, is particularly important and particularly high volume for you. You also want to establish what paid channels your competitors are using. So in this instance, in some areas, you're going to have to turn a little bit detective, and you're going to have to do a little bit of investigating. So some channels, such as Facebook, they have a feature, so the Facebook Ads Library, that essentially, if you drop your competitor in, it's going to show you what ads they are running there and then. Whereas other channels, so like Google Ads, for example, outside of a search in Google, you'd need to look at premium tools such as the likes of SimilarWeb, in order to understand what channels your competitors are using. So it's a mix of tools, and it's a mix of kind of having a search around. But eventually what you'll start to do is you'll start to get kind of a map and kind of a picture of, which channels are your competitors appearing in. You'll also want to understand what their positioning and what their messaging is. So essentially, if you're going to try and kind of steal these impressions and steal these ad views from your competitors, you want to make sure that you're going to capitalize on this opportunity. So you don't want to win the impressions if your message and your offering is not going to be effective in gaining the click, because all you're doing in some instances, particularly if you're in kind of a social landscape and you're paying per impression, then you're paying for impressions that you're for no reason, because the customer's just not going through to your website. So what you want to do is understand the positioning and messaging of your competitors. And this can, like I say, help you to differentiate then your own message and help you to build your messaging around kind of potential pain points and potential gaps that the competitor has, to help you benefit the customer. So asking yourself, what benefits are they positioning? Do they have any offers running at the moment? What products or services are they promoting? So, even though you've got kind of a whole website of different products and different services, do you need to kind of narrow in and focus on specific ones? Are there specific top sellers and best sellers that you can kind of narrow in on? And also, what actions are they requesting of the user? So depending on what platform you're in, you will start to see, and as you start to kind of build a map and build a picture of kind of competitors' messaging across the different channels, you'll start to see that, in Facebook, you might ask a user to download something, whereas in Google Ads, you might be asking a user to sign up and register. So it's about understanding what actions the competitor is asking. So some are more kind of micro, some are more macro, and some are more kind of invested in terms of the information that users need to give across. You also want to understand, like I say, the frequency of ad rotation and testing. So if you know how frequently ads are being kind of introduced and taken out of the mix, that can also start to paint a picture of how frequently these competitors are testing their ad messaging. So, like I say, some platforms have this specific insight, so the likes of Facebook and LinkedIn, and others you can use data tools like SimilarWeb to help you establish kind of how frequently ads are kind of coming into the mix and what ads are there at the moment. So what you want to really understand is, are they refreshing ads each month? Is it each quarter, or is it less frequently? Because what you want to take from this is, if they're refreshing ads each month, then you need to be checking back, monthly to see, okay, how is the ad messaging this month different to what it was last month, and is it going to affect my performance? Are they introducing new offers each month? Are they introducing kind of new features, new benefits? What you need to kind of stay on top and be aware of kind of what's happening with your competitors' ads. And then also thinking about how this compares to your own ad rotation. So with ads, there is such thing as ad fatigue, particularly more so in kind of the social channels, because you've got kind of this set audience, and this audience is going to be seeing your ad regardless of whether they're searching or not. They've just shown interest, so they're going to be seeing this ad, and if they're seeing the same ad over and over and over and over and over, this ad, and they're not taking any action, this ad is not effective for that specific user. So it's important to kind of keep the ad rotation going. So understanding, how frequently your competitors are rotating ads can help you to understand if, you're potentially under rotating and under testing on those. And then also just looking at kind of the seasonal ads they introduce. So, coming up to around kind of Easter, or then again, Black Friday and Christmas, what kind of ads and what kind of messaging in these key, if it's a e-commerce, if in these key retail periods, what messaging are the competitors leading with? And then again, particularly for these social channels, what type of creative is used as well, and what type of ad is used? So are they using carousels? Are they using single image, single videos? Is it image or video? Is it animated? So understanding this, is it, lifestyle, or is it graphic format? Understanding this can help you to kind of understand and start to paint a picture of how can this be applied, and kind of what can I learn from this to apply to my kind of brand and business as well. And then finally, establishing your learnings. So once you've compiled all your research, what you need to start asking yourself is, how do your competitors' channel mixes differ from your own? So are they using any channels and platforms that you are not using? Is there scope to increase your own presence and gain more market share? So we'll have a look in a moment some of the metrics and data that you can get out of channels such as Google Ads. And this will help you to understand whether there's, if you increased your bids, if you increased your budget, could you get more out of your activity? And then also how competitors are differentiating their messaging from your own. When it comes to your learnings, like I say, you don't just want to take the competitor strategy and replicate that. The best approach is always going to be roll out and test. So whether that's testing new channels, new locations, increased budget, new messaging, the approach would be to test. And it's always recommended to have, 10 to 20% of your marketing activity allocated to testing, because testing is where you're going to kind of grow your business and grow your marketing activity. So overall, that's kind of set the scene. What we're going to look at now is the tools specifically within the paid search channels, so tools specifically within Google Ads and Microsoft Ads. Because these are within the platform, these are all free tools, and then I'm going to go through the premium tools at the end altogether. So within Google, what you want to do is you want to be looking at how you can measure your keyword wins, losses, and opportunities. And this is really to help you understand, where are you successful, but also where are you missing out on potential market share? And there's a couple of metrics and in-platform tools that you can use to help kind of help see this and help visualize this. So the first one is impression share, and then this breaks also down into absolute top impression share. So your impression share is the percentage of all available impressions. So regardless of whether your ad showed or not, this is how many impressions there were. This is how many searches there are for a specific keyword. It is how many of those potential impressions you actually received an impression for. So what that tells you is if you've got 50% impression share, there are 50% more or double the amount of impressions that you've received out there that happened that you didn't receive an impression for. And that means that you could double your impressions if you invested either in your ad rank or your budget. So it gives you an idea of how much of the market you're missing out on and how many searches and how many ad auctions that your ad just isn't showing for. Your absolute top impression share is looking at what percentage of the time was you that number one ad, that very, very first ad above all of the organic listings. And this is more about understanding how aggressively your competitors are bidding in comparison to you. So you can understand, and test if you increased your bid and increased your impression share and increased your ad rank, do I get more if I'm in that top position? And sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes actually the answer is no. And the reason sometimes the answer is no, and the reason it's important to test is sometimes the difference in cost per click to go from that second position to that first position is far greater and outstrips the number of additional conversions that you get. So all it does in some instances is it inflates your cost per acquisition, or it reduces your return on ad spend, because you can't capture enough additional traffic and additional conversions to make it profitable. So that's where testing comes in, and that's where testing is important. Click share is essentially the same as impression share, but from a click perspective. So it's looking at all of the impressions that you could have had, or you did receive, what percentage of the clicks that happened did you receive? So looking at, is your ad effective, or is your competitor's ad more effective? Particularly if you're in the absolute top position, a good share of the time. If you then have low click share, it's saying to you that actually maybe your ad is not quite as effective as some of your competitors, and for whatever reason, their offer and their positioning is attracting that customer's click. So it's about understanding, where are you missing out? And then when you know where you're missing out, what can you do to kind of capture those impressions or capture those clicks? What do you need to test and what do you need to adjust? And then in terms of the tools, there's things like the Auction Insights tool, and then there's the you can see competition levels within Keyword Planner tool as well. So Auction Insights. So the Auction Insights tool, it's a free tool. It's within Google Ads. You can see it at campaign level. You can see it at ad group level. You can see it at keyword level. And what it shows you is it shows you which businesses are competing for the same searches that you are. And when I say searches, it's keywords. And what this helps you to do is it helps you to keep an eye out for new competitors. So if there's any new competitors entering the market, and it also lets you keep an eye on changes over time. So you can segment by month. So you can see over time, are any competitors increasing their presence? Are any competitors dropping out at certain times throughout the year? We do see that sometimes. What I would say is just to keep in mind, it does not display every business. So it displays businesses that have strong overlap with you. And sometimes it does differ to what you see if you was to go away and conduct a Google search. So just keep that in mind, but it gives you a bit of an idea of who's appearing in the same searches. What you will also see is you'll see different results if you look at it at an account level versus what you look at an individual campaign, or versus what you look at an ad group level. So you'll see different businesses appear because it's looking at different sets and subsets of keywords when it looks at the different levels. But what you can do with the information that you do get is you can start to see, with the metrics, what is the impact these businesses are having on your own ads. And it can help you to understand, as I say, if competitors are being more aggressive with their bids and budgets in a specific month, and do you need to adjust your strategy and your bidding to kind of negate what's happening there. This is available in Google Ads and it's available in Microsoft Ads as well. And it's available for search campaigns and it's available for shopping campaigns. There is a Auction Insights for display ads. The information there isn't as, I wouldn't say it isn't as informative. The display network is so huge and so massive that to get a good impression share on the display network is very, very difficult, depending on kind of the scope of your audience. But it's quite difficult to kind of establish key learnings from that report. So this is what the Auction Insights looks like. So it gives you a list of competitor domains. These are the competitors that are appearing against your ads. It also lists your own performance and you've got the metrics that come along with it. So you've got your impression share. So what this is going to tell you is, who's got the highest impression share. So in this instance, there is a competitor that is winning more impressions and appearing more frequently than you are. It's going to show you the overlap rate. So this is how frequently your ad and the competitor's ad are appearing in the same ad auction. It's going to show you the position above rate. So the position above rate is how frequently the competitor is appearing in a higher position than you. So the higher the percentage, the more, I'd say the more problems and the more aggressive these competitors are bidding. And then the top of page and absolute top of page rate is showing you again in relation to the ad position. So top of page rate is any ad above the organic listings, and the absolute top of page rate is that very, very first number one ad. And you can see kind of it's showing you how frequently any yourself or your competitors are appearing in those positions. And then the outranking share is how frequently your own ad outranks or appears in a better position than the competitors. So you want the outranking share to be high. You want your absolute top of page and top of page rate to be high. You want the position above rates to be low. And the overlap rate is not necessarily one you can influence, but it's one to kind of monitor. But it's more important with the position above rate, your impression share and your outranking share, because the overlap rate isn't really one that you can influence. It's about where do you position when you do overlap. So in terms of reviewing top metrics, so outside of Auction Insights, you can also review your own impression share and you can also review your own click share as well. So as I say, impression share is what percentage of eligible impressions yours or your competitors' ads showed for. And then you can also break this down into the top positions and the absolute top positions to understand, okay, you are getting the impressions, but how many of these were in a strong position? So if you're getting impression share, but you're not getting a very strong top impression share, well, what that tells you is the majority of your ad placements are happening below the organic listings. And what this means is it shows you how many potential searches or clicks that you're potentially missing out on. So if you've got a low impression share, if you've got a low click share, what you need to be doing is going away, reviewing your bids, reviewing your budgets, and also reviewing your quality scores, because it all comes down to ad rank at the same time. And if you want to increase your market share and you want to increase your ad rank, you're going to need to increase your bids and you're going to need to increase your budgets in order to kind of gain this. From a click share perspective, the other things that you can look at is your ad messaging. So what messaging are you putting out? As that's going to kind of influence what you see in terms of your click share as well. Then just a recap on the other metrics from the Auction Insights report. So again, we've got the overlap rate, we've got the position above rate and the outranking share. So these are the three kind of important metrics out of the Auction Insights. So just establishing, when a competitor is appearing, are they are they pushing your ads down the search results? And if they are, what can you do? What can you do? Do you need to adjust your messaging? Do you need to adjust your bids? And also identifying, when you segment by time, how aggressively competitors are bidding and how this is changing over time as well. And the other thing it will show you is, if you have suddenly seen a drop in performance, so if your impressions have dropped, if your clicks have dropped, you can also revert back to your auction insights data to see, okay, so my performance has dropped from an impressions and a clicks perspective. Is this because there has been a competitor that's entered the market, or is there a competitor bidding more aggressively? So it can start to answer some of those questions where you see some performance drops. And you can also see as well if it's a market-wide issue. So if everybody's impression share is dropped, is Google delivering less ads there as well for each search? The other thing you can do with your auction insights data is you can use, so we use Google Data Studio, and this is just a way to plot and visualize changes to data over time. So when you're looking at the table of data, it's quite hard to kind of look at, and it's quite hard to establish, particularly if you segment over time, because it just drops the table down. Whereas if you plot it into Data Studio, you can see kind of nice and smooth over time what that looks like in a graph. And you can see those big peaks and those dips in competitor activity. So in this one, for example, around kind of December time, Amazon saw kind of a big uplift in kind of their activity. So it's easier to track how aggressive and changes to how aggressive competitors are being. This is segmented by month. You could do it by week as well if you want to track kind of more granularly. So it's up to you kind of how you kind of visualize that in terms of kind of date range. But generally, it's a lot easier to see if you plot it into something like Data Studio to visualize. There are also kind of scripts that you can run through Google Sheets as well that achieve the same objective. Personally, I find Data Studio easier just because it's live and it's always kind of populating. So once you've got it set up, you can just refer back and have a look. Another tool in Google Ads is the Ad Preview and Diagnostics tool. So this allows you to run mock searches. So what we see sometimes is, clients will have a panic because they'll put a search into Google and their ad isn't appearing, or they're doing searches in Google and their ad is appearing, and in some instances you're clicking on your own ad. So what we generally advise is it's always better to do your searches through Ad Preview and Diagnostics. The reason being is it's not inflating and it's not skewing your own data. It's not skewing your impressions and it's not skewing your click-through rate data. On very small scales, one search isn't going to make a kind of huge difference, but if you're searching every day, particularly if you have kind of low search volume anyway, it can start to kind of make a difference. And it can also start to affect your results. So things like quality score is affected by your click-through rates. So if you're artificially deflating your click-through rates, then it's going to start to have an impact over time. So what the Ad Preview tool enables you to do is it's all in a mock environment, but it delivers you the ad auction and the search results as they would appear if you were to do the search in Google at that moment. And it shows your ads if they're appearing, and it also shows your competitor ads as well. So it's a good way to kind of mock out what the search results look like, and also get an idea of who's appearing there and what messaging are they using. You can filter and adjust by device, location. So you can start to see how it differs per device, whether your ad is showing on mobile and not desktop, for example, and who's appearing on each one with you. You can also use Google Ads and the impression share and click share data to assess your keyword wins and losses. And I would suggest to do this at a keyword level. And what you'll start to see is okay, are any of the keywords, do any of them have a impression share below 50%? If they do, what do I need to do? Is it an important keyword to me? And taking that keyword, then researching, okay, which competitors are there, what messaging are they using, and then going away and reviewing your own messaging and your own bids to see, can you be a little bit more aggressive, and does changing your ad help to kind of increase what you're getting there. And then the same from a click share perspective as well. A click share generally below 50% is going to indicate potentially, is your ad messaging working or not? Is it resonating with a user? If you're getting kind of low click share, what you want to do is you want to go away and you want to, review what the competitor's messaging is. Is there a reason users are clicking on a competitor's ad rather than your own? It could be something within your own account. It could be, within the search terms, you're triggering for ads that, you're triggering for searches that, aren't 100% relevant. But go away, have a look, assess the competitor's messaging, and understand, why are you losing the clicks to these competitors as well. The keyword planner tool is typically for keyword research, but you can also use it in a different way to understand how Google is kind of viewing your competitor's domain, and also what types of keywords the competitor's domain is optimizing for. So what you want to do with this, you can use the entire site, but what I'd recommend is using only a specific page. And it's a way to find new opportunities in terms of keywords for you to target. And it's going to show you how Google is reading the page. So you can do this for your competitors. It's also a worthwhile exercise to do for yourself as well, because it tells you what Google is kind of picking up and seeing on this page. But it gives you an idea of the suggested keywords based on the URL that you input. You can also look at organic versus paid. So if you link up Google Search Console, the report shows you what your performance is when you have both an organic listing and an ad appearing, or when just one of them appears. So it starts to show you, are you cannibalizing any traffic? Or it also shows you where you can bolster your ad activity. So in this instance, what you can see is, click-through rate is highest when both an ad and an organic listing shows. So you can start to understand where is your performance. So this is kind of at an account level, but you can drill down to an individual keyword level and look at kind of individual keyword data. And you can see, where are you not getting any organic presence, and where do you need to kind of boost and bolster your ads activity. To use the report, you do need Search Console links, and that's just set up in your account linking settings. YouTube is, it's not a kind of straight and cut competitor analysis. There is no definitive way to see specifically what your video ads a competitor is running directly within YouTube. But one thing that you can do, and one insight that you can take, is if you visit their YouTube channel, once there, you can look at, what are their view levels for each video, and also alongside their publish date. So how frequently are they publishing new video content? The view levels is one of the indicators that could tell you if ad activity is being pushed for a specific video. Because generally speaking, videos that attract high view counts are more than likely running ad activity, because organic activity, unless it's, a very, potentially, DIY kind of video or tutorials, organic activity typically, especially in a short space of time, doesn't attract high view counts. So if the view count is generally higher than kind of the tens of thousands, the likelihood is that they've used that video for a YouTube ad campaign. And the other thing you can review is also the types of video that are being used. So is there any kind of inspiration you can take from kind of the messaging and the video formats that kind of the competitors are using as well? So that's kind of everything within Google Ads. The other elements are social media. So I'm going to flick through Facebook and LinkedIn. So both of the platforms have features built within them as part of kind of their transparency that enables you to see what ads a competitor is running, or any business is running. It doesn't have to be a competitor. So the Facebook or Meta ads library enables you to see what ads are currently running across the platform. So whether that's Facebook, whether that's Instagram, Messenger, you can see what ads a competitor has running. You don't need to have a Facebook account or be logged in to view the ads that are currently being run. And you can filter down by country and ad category. So ad category is if things like politics, if it falls within a special ad category like that, you can kind of filter down to those. But you don't have to. You can just select all ad categories and it will pull all ads that the competitor is running. In terms of what you can see, so overall at the top of the result is going to show you details about the page. So the competitor's page, so it's going to show you how many likes they have, how many followers, and also the creation date of the page. So if it's kind of a very established page, or if they're a new competitor, if they've recently set it up. And then it will also show you each active ad. So when the ad was first launched, which platforms the ads are live on. So whether it's just Facebook, whether it's Messenger, whether it's Instagram. And then it will show you the ad itself. So from this, you can establish, how frequently ads are being posted, and then also what the messaging and creative angle is. Is it consistent? Are there kind of big changes over time? And it does also show you versions of the ads. So if they are running dynamic content ads, it shows you the different versions that are eligible to appear as well. And then this is just an example of what it looks like. So you set your location, you set your category. So in this instance, we've gone all ads, and then you find the business page. So if you start typing, it usually brings them up. If it doesn't bring it up and you know that they've got a page, just refer back to their Facebook page. So find them in Facebook and just make sure you check what their Facebook tag and handle actually is. And like we say, it's going to show you if it's active. It's going to show you when the ad started running. So this one was March 23rd. It's going to show you the platform. So it's got Facebook, it's got Instagram, etc. And then it's going to show you the ad itself. And you can expand this to view the ads in kind of a bigger format. But like I say, you can establish whether, it's carousel, so the ad format, whether it's video, whether it's image, and the types of messaging that's being used. So you can start to build a picture of what your competitors are running. You can also do the same in LinkedIn. So in LinkedIn, if you visit any company profile, and you have to be on desktop, unfortunately, to do this, but if you go to LinkedIn, you'll see the banner and you'll see posts, and then under posts, you'll have ads. If you select onto ads, you'll be able to see what ads are being run by a competitor. Not all of these ads will be live at that point. It looks back, I think it's approximately about 6 months it looks back. But these are ads that either are running or have been running. But from this, you can still kind of determine, what is their messaging, what is their call to action that they're using, which landing pages. So you can go away and you can have a look and you can review the landing pages as well. And then it's same again, you can look at the ad creative and the ad type. So if the ad type is, for example, a lead form, you can open up and have a look what that lead form is, or if they're just, going straight through to kind of website conversions, if they're clicking through to the website. So you can get an idea of the types of kind of ads that a competitor is running on LinkedIn. And then we've got some tools. So some of these are free or offer free trials or limited free access, and then others are premium. So first one we've got is Spyfu. With all of these tools, what I would say is always take the data with a little bit of a pinch of salt. So none of these tools have actual access to any of your competitor accounts or your account for that example. But what they do is they access publicly available information and they collate that data through kind of APIs and essentially forecasting, and they put that data together. So what I would always say is it's usually quite beneficial to collate data from more than one source and then average it out. But the best way to understand how off their data is, because sometimes it could just be 10-20%, sometimes it could be off by up to 50%, but the best way to understand how far off their data is to put your own domain in and put it in for activity that you're running. So if in Google Ads you're spending £5,000, but Spyfu, for example, is telling you only spent £3,000, you can use that to establish, okay, if they're off by that much for me, I can calculate back up, where the competitor activity is likely to be. It's not an exact science, none of it is, but it does give you, and all of the tools give you an idea of, who's in the market, what ads are they using, what keywords are they bidding on. So it still gives you insight, but just always take it with a pinch of salt. So Spyfu has more than two versions, but so it's got a free access version, and with the free access, you can access kind of limited data. So you can see the overall results, and then you can start to see kind of keyword data, but it shows you, I think it's about 5 to 10, and then you have to pay for kind of the rest of it. Prices for Spyfu, so it's quite a budget friendly one. Prices for Spyfu start at $9 per month. That is a limited offer that's available at the moment. After that, I think it's about £20 to £30 a month. But it is quite kind of, as the competitor analysis tools go, it's quite a budget friendly one. The key features, or the top features for Spyfu, I would say, would be around, it shows you what your competitors' keywords are, so what your competitors are bidding on, which gives you an idea of if you're missing out on anything, and if there's any new keywords that you could add to your account. It gives you an idea of competitor traffic levels, which helps you to understand, what is your market share for the traffic and the search levels. It shows you your competitors' ads messaging, helping you to understand what messaging and how that messaging is changing over time, and what different variations of ads competitors have running. And it also shows you the estimated ad budgets of each competitor. Again, that gives you an idea of how much they're investing and how aggressively they're kind of investing in each channel. There is Sem Rush. So again, Sem Rush has a feature where you can access limited data for free. So it gives you 10 free data searches per day. Each of those data searches, similar to Spyfu, it gives you a certain level of data. Again, I think it's about 10-ish keywords if you're on a keyword analysis part, for example. But after that, again, it will charge you if you wish to look at the kind of full set of data. But from that kind of 10 free reports a day, there is kind of a good level of data that you can establish. After that, I'd say it's kind of a mid tier in terms of pricing. So it starts at $119.95 per month. So it's kind of mid-tier. It's not kind of the budget like Spyfu, but it does have more features. So it has, and it's more beneficial from kind of an SEO perspective as well. So it's a kind of multi-tool rather than just looking at kind of competitors. So, it's got gap analysis. So this is from both an SEO and also a paid search perspective. So looking at, where your ads are ranking versus where your competitors are ranking, and also which keywords are you missing out on that your competitors are potentially bidding on or ranking for organically that you just have no presence for. As I say, it's showing you rankings. You can also look at your messaging. So you can see here, you can have a look at ad copies. And this is going to show you kind of the ad history as well, and how ads and messaging has changed over time. You can look at traffic levels, and it also has a feature for shopping ads if you're kind of e-commerce and running product listing ads as well. We use a tool called SimilarWeb. So SimilarWeb is a premium tool. So it's definitely not in kind of budget range. And unless you've got kind of big budgets, it is more so, I'd say, kind of an agency tool, but it is a tool that gives a lot of data back. You can get a free trial if you wanted to kind of have a look and see if it's a tool for you. But it has a lot of features. So it has market intelligence features to look at kind of the market as a whole, rather than just kind of how are you performing, but also how's the market performing? Is there kind of big changes in the market generally? It looks at channel usage. So it maps out each type of channel that a competitor or yourself is using. So whether it's display ads, whether it's organic, how much traffic they're getting from direct, how much traffic they're getting from social ads, and how much traffic they're getting from search ads. So it's got a lot of data in there. It looks at ad messaging as well, and that's across search, it's across video, it's across display. It has the shopping ads feature in this one as well. It has gap analysis and also estimated ad budgets as well. You can have a look at that. So it's got a whole ton of features, but but it is a more premium tool from that perspective. There's iSpionage, if I've said that right. But pricing wise, again, similar to the others, it's got a free trial. It's budget to mid-range, starts at $59 a month. Similar to the others, you can get your keyword targets, you can get your ad messaging, you can get landing page analysis and estimated ad budgets. It's not one I personally use. We tend to use Sem Rush, SimilarWeb, and Spyfu, but it is one, and it's a popular tool out there that is available. Sprout Social focuses more on the social side of things. Again, free trial, starts at $89 a month. This is more if you want to kind of benchmark and look at how kind of your social channels are doing, particularly from an organic perspective. So it helps you to benchmark your growth. So how many followers are you kind of gaining each month? It helps you to kind of check. It's also a publishing tool, so you can publish posts out from there as well. And it also has social listening tools. So if you want to kind of keep an eye on kind of what your competitors are posting, you can keep an eye on that as well from Sprout Social. One of the other tools, and this is kind of a little bit different because this is more checking in on your competitors' landing pages. It's a completely free tool. It's called the Wayback Machine, and it gives you an opportunity to track changes on your competitor's website. So each of these little boxes that's filled in either grey, yellow, or blue indicates a change in the website. So not only can you track when changes happen, but also if you click onto these, you can also view an archive of the page. So you can see how that page has specifically changed over time. You can track multiple domains, and you can also track individual page URLs as well. And it highlights both small and large changes. So some of the changes, so the grey ones, for example, are going to be particularly small, but this blue one here, for example, so knowing Annika, I know exactly kind of when that change, what that change was, and that was when we launched our new website. So you can start to see kind of the level and frequency of changes. So in terms of the key takeaways and tips, so first and foremost, track your own performance. So we recommend using Data Studio and use a combination of built-in data sources and imports from Google Sheets. So if you're using any of these tools, take that data, map that data. So I, for one of my clients, use some of the Spyfu data, put that into Google Sheets each month and track kind of how competitors change each month. And that helps you to kind of track and keep visuals of things over time. But even if you're just using, the Google Ads data, so the impression share, the click share, tracking that over time and how your performance is changing can kind of really kind of help you to keep a finger on the pulse in terms of making sure you're aware of what's going on for your competitors. Like I say, combine your data sources to track your competitors. None of these tools have direct access to competitors' data, so just helping you to kind of keep track and benchmark your own data, as I say, for reference. And act on this. So what does it mean for your marketing? So it's not going to tell you what to do for your ads, because you still need to make that decision and that strategy for yourself. But it gives you an idea of how maybe you can adjust and how you can test your ads to help you better position your products and services. Are there gaps you can fill? Are there pain points you can address? What offers, what promotions, what differentiates you? Also looking at, if you want to gain more impressions, if you want to gain more of the market share and more of the click share, do you need to adjust your bidding strategy? Do you need to be more aggressive? Do you need to put more budget in? And also if there's any new channels and platforms that you can explore as well. Definitely make it a habit to conduct competitor analysis regularly. Doing it once in a blue moon is not really going to give you the insight that you need. To get the most out of competitor analysis, you need to do it kind of frequently, because you need to understand how they're changing and how they're developing their strategies. And yeah, if you need any kind of competitor audits, if you want to look at how, like I say, we have access to the SimilarWeb tool, feel free, get in touch, reach out to, myself and any of the team, and we'll be happy to discuss with you on that. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Oh, thanks for that, Holly. That was fantastic. There was a few questions that came up. but mainly it was around, right, let me just go back. Just Montserrat was saying, main thing is that we don't know if something is working or not for competitors since we don't work there. And I was saying, well, there's tools to help. And, we were just talking about that. And he said, I meant how much revenue is actually entering their bank accounts. And then Montserrat.
No, so that's what I alluded to at the start. What competitor analysis is not telling you that what a competitor is doing is working. It's about you understanding what they are doing and how that could be affecting your own performance rather than what their actual performance is. So it's, if they've got an offer running that's 20% off or 30% off, that is undoubtedly going to have an effect on your own performance. So it's about having that knowledge and visibility of what's happening for that competitor, not how they're doing financially.
And I think, there's market share trackers, there's ways, when I've worked at some of the big brands before, you can really see where the uplift is. And sometimes offline activity can be tracked as well through like adverts and seeing like, what's kind of made the inroads for them that week or month, But yeah, no, it's been fascinating. I don't know if there's any more questions coming in, but I think you've covered so much already. I have got a few offers just to put out there. Okay. So in terms of, the news about Universal Analytics being, phased out, ending, and it's time to upgrade to GA4, we've got an offer for you. Just got to find it. Hope you can see this. Yeah, so basically there's a deal on to get 15% off audits. There's a lot in there as well about training and setup, about getting the Pixel installed, setup configuration, all the downloads and the dashboards. So definitely take a look at that. And I'm not going to go into this too much because I think we're running over a bit. And then just about the boot camp, which has been amazing. I can see a few the boot camp students on here today. We're starting that up again in May. The course itself, it's worth probably up to like £3,000, and everything that we're doing is amazing. And you can access 60 to 100% off, basically, depending on, your situation. So definitely get in touch. I'll put my email address in here as well, or if Lucy wants to do that, I think Lucy's on here as well. But it's a really, really good course. It gives you the grounding you need. And with the digital skills gap, it just makes you so employable. So it's definitely worth having a look at that one. And in terms of, we are waiting on the funding, and there are priority groups if you're unemployed or under 24 or over 50. But there are more to that, like if, so just get in touch and we'll help you with all of this. And then also, I just want to say a big thank you to Holly. She's just put such heart and soul into this. And if you'd be able to leave us a Google review, that would be amazing. So I'm just going to send that across as well. That really, it's just very motivating. And Holly, I can see how much work you put into this, and I know how good you are. And then you can do it via, this site as well, but Google reviews after local SEO and last week, we know it's all about the Google now. So yeah, I think that's it. I don't know, is there anything? Oh, Danielle's saying thank you, Holly, really interesting webinar. Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, I loved it as well. Is there anything else, Holly, you want to say? And just thank you, because I know you're at the end of a bit of one of those mini bugs, and I appreciate you just keeping going as well. You did so well.
No, great. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
And just so you know, everyone, handouts are there. You can email in, whatever you need to do. But, this will be available on demand later as well. I think for me, there's a couple of things I want to kind of go away and takeaways. And, I've been in marketing like 20 years, but a couple of things caught my eye today. And that's why I love these webinars. Oh, thank you, Montserrat, and thank you for helping out and asking, interesting questions. And thanks, Ash, as well. Okay, next week we're just firming up what that's all going to be about. We think it's going to be about grant funding. And whatever your background, there's so much out there that you're just not aware of. So we'll be in touch about that through, the system that we use. So, thanks, Matthew. Okay, I'm going to stop recording now. Hopefully see you next week. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.